Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today for you guys, I have an update to an AITA story that was posted in the r/entitled parent subreddit. And this update is an unexpected roller coaster. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, shall we? AITA for forcing my mother to see that she and my sister are not the same size. I know this is going to sound fake, but my mom is delusional. I'm not body shaming anyone here, but she's nearly 400 pounds and in severe denial about it. Mom's 45 and tries to dress like a teenager, and she's somehow projected her self-image onto my younger sister, who's 17. Mom has repeatedly forced my sister to wear clothes in the sizes that she gets for herself. The clothes are so baggy that they practically fall off my poor sister. I decided to help by getting her some secondhand clothes in her sizes. But my mom took this as those clothes being in her size as well and tore them apart trying to put them on. When confronted, she claimed that there was just something wrong with the clothes, as my daughter and I are the same size after all. I tried to tell her otherwise, but she refused to listen and even threatened to hurt me when I pressed the matter. My sister was beside herself because any new clothes she got, our mom kept destroying them trying to wear them. It got so bad that she was hiding her clothes at my apartment and swinging by to change before school, then changing back before going home. It infuriated me that she was having to do that, so I decided that being the nice guy wasn't solving anything. So I invited my mom over to my apartment. While there, I called her out on what she was doing. She denied all of it. I pulled out a digital scale and asked her to use it, then asked my sister to stand on it next. My sister's weight came out to less than half of our mom's. My mom blamed the scale and said it was faulty. I then pulled out a slim-fitting, fur-lined winter jacket that I had found for my sister. I asked my sister to put on the jacket, and it fit her perfectly. I asked my mom to do the same, and she didn't hesitate to try. There was no doubt in her mind that it would fit. She could barely get one of her arms in the jacket. She spent a good 10 minutes struggling with it before I told her enough was enough. She and my sister are not the same size at all. I took back the jacket and my sister put it back on with ease. I told my mom she needed major therapy and to stop projecting herself and her body issues onto my sister. Mom started huffing and puffing, then left my apartment howling and crying. She locked my sister out of their own apartment. I texted her and said she better let my sister back in, or I'd be calling the police for child abandonment. She let her in, but refused to speak to her. My sister threw out all of the baggy clothes our mom forced her to wear in favor of the clothes I helped her to get. But day after day, our mom has refused to speak to us, and only cries and leaves the room whenever we try to say anything to her. AITA, did I go too far trying to prove my point? Edit. Unfortunately, I can't take my sister in. My apartment is a studio. There's only enough room for me and my cat. Plus, my lease agreement doesn't allow for extended stay visitors for more than a week. My insane mother went off the deep end and attacked my sister because she wasn't young and pretty anymore. Early this year, I posted about how my delusional and obese mother was forcing my little sister to wear clothes that were in our mother's size. Since then, the issue spiraled badly. To start off, my sister finished high school and has gone on to college. Our mother didn't take my sister's growing up well. You see, at first, mom was just acting sad and playing the victim after I'd forced her to see that she and my sister were not the same clothing size. Some said I went about it in the wrong way by being so blunt. However, I really don't think there would have been another way to get through to her. After the incident, she was leaving my sister alone, but my 45-year-old mom was still dressing in clothes like a teenager and binge eating fast food. My sister caught her in her room trying to try on her clothes several times. Yes, our mother did destroy a few more pieces of my sister's, but we confronted her each time. Rather than make her previous excuse of stating her belief that my sister and she were the same size, she would just lock herself in her room, howling and crying, to the point where neighbors called the police to do a wellness check. When the police arrived, I saw a very different side of my mother. She'd put on a nightgown and did not look like someone who'd just been crying her eyes out. Not only was she pretending to act her age, but she also lied through her teeth. The police just issued a verbal warning and left. As soon as they were gone, my mother told me me to get out, and that she didn't want me as a son anymore. I realized then that the mother she once was who raised us was completely gone. Just a few years prior, she was a kind and loving mother, but that obviously changed. There was a verbal altercation in which I pointed out that if she wanted to disown me so badly, then fine, but I would also be disowning her. She threatened to hurt me again, in which I told her to bring it on, and if she were to ever hurt my sister, I'd be damn sure she regretted it. My mother went back to howling and crying in her room after I said that, so I just left, but not before telling my sister to call me if she tries anything else. Shit hit the fan not long after my sister's 18th birthday in May. She went out with friends, and when she came home from her birthday party, she found her stuff in boxes and bags left outside of the apartment she shared with our mother. There was a note taped to the door telling my sister to leave and never come back. We were honestly completely prepared for this though. We knew our mom wanted my sister out because she was no longer her scapegoat. Sis and I had been secretly taking her stuff over to her friend's house little by little. My sister called me and I came over with my car to start packing up her remaining stuff to take to her friend's house. Since my sister is 18, she could go where she wanted, and her friend's family took her in. I think our mother was hoping to pull some sort of emotional manipulation by kicking my sister out, but it backfired badly since none of us even batted an eyelash about it. So mom started messaging my sister that she'd cut off her phone plan if she didn't speak to her. My sister responded by getting her own phone and sent the old phone back to our mother in the mail. Mom did not take that well, but she no longer had a way of contacting my sister. So she came stomping over to my apartment to yell at me and say it was all my fault and demanded my sister's new phone number. I told her to buzz off because she was no longer my mother. She'd previously made it clear that I was no longer her son, and if she didn't leave me alone, I would be calling the police. She ran away howling and crying like she always does, but by then, I was certain it was all an act. The next thing my mother did was show up at my sister's friend's house. She started demanding she move back in with her and contribute to rent because she was now paying for a 2-bedroom on her own and no longer gets child support since my sister turned 18. My sister told her to F off. That's when my mom attacked her. She grabbed my sister and started wailing on her while screaming that it was unfair that my sister got to be young, thin, and pretty, and that she wasted her youth being a mother. That's about as far as she got before my sister's friend's father took her down. He ripped her off my sister and threw her to the ground. The man is ex-Navy and built like a steamboat. He pinned my mother down and forced her into submission before calling the cops. He referred to her as a screaming whale for the sounds she was making. My sister was taken to the hospital after police arrived and took statements. Thankfully, the doorbell cam on the house had caught the entire fight, so the dad wasn't charged for taking down my mother as he'd reacted in defense of my sister. My sister ended up with some bruises, a black eye, and a bump on the head. Our mother ended up in jail, and hilariously, she used her one phone call to try and guilt me into coming over and paying to have her released. I just said, "I'm sorry, I don't have a mother. You must have the wrong number," before ending the call. My mother had to go to court for attacking my sister, and she frustratingly ended up getting off with just a fine. However, she was kicked out of the apartment by the landlord for several reasons. One of them being, she tried to solicit herself to him, or so he says, but she denied it ever happened. When she got evicted, enraged, she spray painted graffiti on the walls and smeared the bathroom with her own feces. The landlord called me over, and I saw the chaos she had left. Some choice words for the landlord painted on the walls, and the bathroom mostly just had the mirror smeared. From there, my mother spiraled worse. I heard she tried to pick up younger guys several times, and a friend tipped me off as to where she was doing it. I found her in a bar across town. She was wearing pink hot pants a few sizes too small and tried to pick up a guy half her age. She was trying to claim to be 29 years old, but no one believed her. Then she saw me. She looked furious the second she realized I was there and stomped out. The spiral went deeper. By this point, my sister was happily off to college, and people stopped seeing my mother around town. She was found dead in a motel room. She'd overdosed from drugs and died in late October. I was next of kin in, so I was notified of some details. She'd heavily overdosed. When I saw her after she'd passed, she'd lost a fair bit of weight and looked like she aged 10 years in just a few months. It turned out she had an untreated STD and had likely been abusing substances for years. She'd pretty much destroyed her body from the inside out. In her final couple years of life, she was the worst mother she'd ever been. Maybe from a mental condition, or maybe from her drug use. We don't know. We'll never know now. The funeral for my mother was a little more than a very small gathering with an urn. We spread the ashes at sea. There were no tears shed by either me or my sister, or even many words were spoken. We ended up going out for ice cream and just having a talk. I think it can be best described that we weren't happy Mom had passed, but not sad about it either. If anything, I'm not really sure how to mentally process it, other than the fact that it's just over and to move on. Currently, we have plans to meet at my sister's friend's parents' house for Christmas. My sister and I have no close relatives nearby, and since we were raised so far away from them, we're estranged. Always have been. My sister and I don't even have the same father. We don't even know who our fathers were. Our mom never told us. We're both working hard to move forward in life. I've recently begun dating a nice girl I met while having a morning coffee, and we've been together for about 3 weeks now. Without my mom in my life, drama has been minimalized, and I'm rather thankful for that. Hopefully, I'll never have to make a post on this site again. Man, what a ride. I wonder if the untreated STD was syphilis, as untreated syphilis can cause insanity. That's a bit of a reach though. You know, even though this mother was awful, I can't help but feel sorry for her. OP stated that she had a complete personality shift a few years prior, from being loving to unhinged, which was likely caused by the drugs, I assume. It also seemed like she possibly had body dysmorphia on top of the addiction. I wish that she got the help she needed before her demise, but I'm glad that OP and his sister can be done with the toxicity and drama for good. If I were them, I would totally reach out to the estranged family members and explain the situation. You never know, they might be great, and they can rekindle some family relationships and get some support. I wish OP and his sister the best, and that they can both move forward from this in a healthy way. But anyway, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed this AITA Entitled Parents update. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!